This is Cyndy G, and in this video we are assembling the water can. Okay, it's a very simple little watering can here, and I have all the panel pieces laid out. You will want to make sure that you at least put these two panel pieces on before you put your handle and your spout on, okay, because these need to be underneath those pieces. The rest of them, if you want to assemble first and then put your panels on, you're fine. I prefer to put mine on while my project is flat, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I probably should have done part of them already, but it should go pretty quickly. Now there is a slight border around the whole piece, so just find a spot where you like it. And then what I do is I line up my next piece to the bottom of the piece before. There we are. So see, this goes pretty quick. You don't want to use a whole lot of glue. It will cause your paper to warp. It's going to warp anyway using glue. But the heavier you put your glue on, the more your paper will warp. And again, up here for the top, you're just going to try to get that border even around the sides. You can see my piece is starting to curl up already. Shoot. Sometimes when you do these pieces, if you just turn it upside down, just the weight itself of the paper will help flatten that as it dries. If you don't have something heavy, you can put it under. I'm going to put it under my mat while I work on this other piece. This is shadowing my work surface. That's a purse we made in the last video. Now this piece will only go on correctly one way, so try it both ways. Make sure you have it the correct way for it to center on the two slits that are cut for the handle. This might well be the longest part of this project, getting the panels put on. So I'm going to slide this under here while we work on. So the handle is two pieces. They should have been the same size. And you're just going to glue these together. I think I have a clump of glue in here that keeps, see if I can catch the little booger this time. It's clogging up my glue bottle. I don't see it. Okay. I know it's in there because it keeps getting me. You just want to center this as best you can. And then you want to let this dry. And let's pull this over. This is our spout. Okay, must have just come out here. And this is why it's easier to put your pieces on before you start, because these would be a little bit difficult on this piece to put on after you've assembled it. Okay. Then there's a panel piece for the top of your water spout. And you can put the panel piece on, but don't glue those other pieces together until we assemble them to the spout. Okay, you have two pieces for your handle, and you're going to fold the pieces out, and we're going to glue these together. But what I'm going to do is I am not going to put glue all the way to the edge of this line, because the slit for these to go through I made big enough so you don't have to struggle. So you want the paper to be able to separate a little bit so it can pull to the edge. And it's not, you know, it's just a smidgen of a space. But if you just leave glue away from this very back line, just back from the line, just about that far, then the paper will have enough give to pull apart and fill that gap. Okay. All right. So let's get our pieces back out to work on. Okay, so you just want to fold everything down on the fold lines. And because I want the bottom to go on easier, I want to be able to lay my top down flat. I am not going to assemble this top of the water can until after I have the bottom on. Okay. And I think it'll be easier to put the handle and the spout on before and you can see here, see it's not a whole lot of space, but there is just a little bit. And so I just want that to pull apart just a little so that and I think the tension will help it stand up straighter as well. So you just put glue on each side of these tabs. Glue one side and then do the other. So there's our handle. And then we have our spout. And to put the spout together, I'm just going to fold it over. I've already folded everything on the score lines. I'm just going to fold it over to close it up. And I'm going to do it both ways. I'm going to fold it this way. Just make sure I've got things stuck well. So the side with the angles is the side that goes in. And you want the long side down so that your spout is pointing up. And then just like the handle, we're going to flip it over and glue inside. And you'll have to hold this a few extra minutes because these tabs are not very big, so they fight against you, especially when you're using a good stiff cardstock. They don't want to stay down. And I'm just going to get my bone folder and rub it about where those tabs would be to help get those stuck in place. Go. Now let's check, and those are stuck down. Okay. For the top, this is why we weren't gluing this piece on yet. This fits over, and again, we're going to fold these back. Turn it towards me. And we're just going to glue this down. So you just need to put a little spot of glue kind of under each one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my circle. It doesn't matter that I put the glue all over it because none of that is going to show. And I'm just going to sandwich this in here together. Okay, just like that. And then this piece goes right on top of that. So you want to put your glue on this so you don't have glue coming out all of your little spout holes. And this is slightly smaller. Maybe not. It's not. I take that back. It does just fit. It's the top piece. That's the panel. That's slightly smaller. So I'm just going to pinch this together. Make sure I've got that stuck down well. Take a look at it. It stayed pretty straight. And then I'm going to put these two pieces together before I put my bottom on, obviously. But that's where we are. We're going to put these two pieces together. And I just like to rub my corner there. You'll see me do that from time to time. It just gets glue right on the very corner of my piece. I feel like it helps it stay down. Corners can be tricky. Now, because I have these pieces, I can't lay this one down to put it together, but it's an easy enough seam that I felt like I wanted to be able to work on those other pieces with it flat rather than this one. So just take your time here for a second and line that up just to make it look neat. And you know what? This was the handle before I made the new handle, so this piece is not in your file. Okay, and see if I do it before I put that top piece in place, then I can more easily, I always like to dry run fitting this to how I need it to go, just so I can see it. I can see it's going to go, and now I can apply my glue. And because depending on how well you get your seams together, how close you get them to where they're really supposed to be, all determines how this bottom piece fits and whether it's a little bit small or a little bit big. And so that's why I don't like to adhere one side before I start. You know, sometimes you start it off with one side, but sometimes I need it to float just a little below the edge, like this time. So I must have had a little bit too much give in my seam. I didn't get those quite as tight as they should have been, but that's okay. Flip that over. I'm going to kind of, whoops, I rubbed it a little too hard and I pop this side off. Okay, so now for this top piece, you're going to put glue on these two tabs here, just right here. And you're just going to glue these to the edge. So there's nothing really complicated about this box. And you can do it in so many different colors. And there it is. There is the garden watering can. Thank you so much for joining me.